Once I became an entrepreneur, summer really wasn't a thing because we were blessed to have different trips that we were a part of. So we took the kids, to different countries.
On vacation with your kids, that vacation is about them. It's not about you and your wife. But when you go on a vacation with just you and your wife, that's when vacation becomes about you and your wife. And I was like, holy moly.
Yeah.
So the rule for us was always, if they can't wipe their own booty, right, or carry their own luggage, they don't go to vacation yet. They don't get to travel on an airplane yet. So that was the rule to manage it, because I don't want to change diapers on an airplane. No one does.
Welcome to the Family Office, planning for the people who matter most.
Because it is summertime right now, and that's a good way to leave off of that, what summertime means to you, and how summer's been for you historically in your family, and now what that means for you moving forward, and how to maximize really summer, and not just make summer just this time of the year where the weather's nice for most people and we just kind of cut loose, but really being intentional about what summer is for you and your family and what that means. And you can start on that, or I can start on that. It's just whatever, if you want to go into it, what that means for you. What does summer look like for Len and Tasha Cooper nowadays versus what summer might have looked like when you had kids in the house, or how that all comes down to your work, if you're intentional about summer and your family now.
Yeah, it's interesting because having been an employee as an educator, having transitioned to become an entrepreneur, summers were very different. And the other transition was going from raising little kids to now having a 25 and a 28-year-old, soon to be 26-year-old and 28-year-old. It's evolved and it's changed. I know that sounds crazy. And so I would say when I was in the educational space, we had a month off at a time, 6 weeks, sometimes 8 weeks off at a time, depending upon how the school year was set up. And so what we would do is we would take vacations every summer. So, we've been to
as a whole family, right?
Yes, as a family.
So you guys
absolutely.
made a tradition to do that. You guys made it a culture or family tradition to do those things.
Absolutely. Even if it was someplace close like Coronado, which is a nice beach area near San Diego, or Disney World. One year what we did is we saved up some money, and we went to Disney World and we stayed, and we went to all 4 of the places. And then after that, we took a cruise. And so instead of getting on the Disney cruise, which was around $8,000 at the time, we took a Royal Caribbean cruise, and we got a chance to go to a private island. And so we spent a good 14 days away from the house, just as a family, spending time with each other, reconnecting. And the way that I am with my boys is I've always been very intentional about teaching them that they're going to be a leader, and then posing different questions to them and making sure that they understand world events and what's going on locally, and reading books about their culture and knowing who they are, and also having an understanding of who they are spiritually. So I really wanted to impact them from a standpoint of seeing other cultures. I wanted to impact them as it related to their own culture. I wanted to impact them as it related to who they are as boys being groomed to be men, and individuals groomed to being leaders. Right. And then once I became an entrepreneur, summer really wasn't a thing because we were blessed to have different trips that we were a part of. So we took the kids, to different countries. We've taken them to Mexico. We've taken them to Rome, and we've taken them to Venice, and we've taken them to Greece, and we've taken them to, I don't want to name all the countries, but they're well traveled. And being in a business that allowed them to see the world, it really became part of a tradition. And now, on their own, they travel internationally. And so that became a thing. So, I really am interested to hear from you, because you're a parent of younger kids and you have lots of them. And so I'm really interested to hear how you take a look at summer and what does that mean for you?
Well, I'll tell you, one of the biggest things that I got in watching you with your kids was, and I do this now with my older kids, obviously if they got to be 10 or older, is that when kids go on vacation now, and if you're a child and you're 10 or older, you got to do a report on wherever we're going. And I remember watching you do that with your kids, and I was like, you got to run a report. So my kids do reports on wherever we go. And my oldest son has a friend. Isn't it? It's such it. First and foremost, the fact that if you have an opportunity to take your kids traveling around the world, I would encourage you to budget other areas in your life to do it. And here's the thing. My dad died when I was 12. He was 45. And he was very well off when I was a kid. We were making a multi-six-figure income. It was close to $250,000 a year back in the late 80s, early 90s. So we experienced a very nice life. But of course, when he passed, we had nothing. Now, I don't remember for the most part, I don't really remember any of the materialistic things that I got as a child throughout my childhood up until 12. And that would include Christmas and all those things. And I have a very good memory. I can remember childhood events going back to when I was in kindergarten, right? I mean, that's like, 4 or 5 years old, right? Mm-hmm. But I don't remember those materialist things, but I remember all the trips that I went on with my family when I was an adolescent. All the vacations, the trips we went to. I remember all of those things very vividly, right? So that's number one, the reason why you ought to prioritize. And maybe that's you not having as many things in your life for yourself selfishly. You know, I remember going out in the field one time and meeting with a very high net worth client.
And when you say going out in the field, explain what you mean by that so people understand. What I mean by that is
going out and meeting, I know, right? Going out and sitting with a client across their office or their kitchen table to talk about their financial services with them. And I remember my wife was with me at the time when we were doing appointments like that with clients. And I remember he was talking to us about children and vacation and stuff. He said, now remember, when you go on vacation with your kids, that vacation is about them. It's not about you and your wife. But when you go on a vacation with just you and your wife, that's when vacation becomes about you and your wife. And I was like, holy moly. So that's a great way to manage, right? That's a great way to manage vacation so that you as parents don't get upset when you go with your kids, because you're going to get upset because kids want everything all the time, 20 hours a day, 7 days. Oh my God, what are we just going to be about? It's not about you and your wife when you go on vacation when you have kids, right? It's about those kids, right? So number one is just getting a chance to spend quality time with the kids. But number two, it's allowing your children to be cultured. And when I say being cultured, you can get your kids a lot of culture just by traveling around the United States and getting them different culture, because culturally in the United States, it's so different state by state. But what I mean by that is allowing your children to see just how good they have it in America versus other parts of the world. And by the way, I've been to very nice places in the world with my kids. But when my kids come back to America, they know there's a different feeling when you come back to the United States versus all the other places they've been in the world. So getting a chance to do that is just key. I think it's built so much with your kids and your family. But making them do reports allows them to respect and know the place they're going to, but allows them to educate themselves and become more disciplined.
And when you talk about the reports, it's really important to highlight, do the report before they go so they have a greater level of appreciation. So when they go, they're like, oh, I saw that building when I was doing my report. Oh my gosh, like it has a different level of significance, especially if you go to historical places that have different buildings and things that you can look up and all of that. So I wanted to point that out. Such an important point. I'm glad you brought that up.
Huge.
Yeah.
So the rule for us was always, if they can't wipe their own booty, right, or carry their own luggage, they don't go to vacation yet. They don't get to travel on an airplane yet. So that was the rule to manage it, because I don't want to change diapers on an airplane. No one does. You're bravo to those parents. You don't look like a hero to me in my eyes, doing diapers on an airplane and crying children on airplanes and all that stuff. If they can't carry their own luggage and wipe their own butt, they can't travel on an airplane yet. And I'll tell you right now, my kids, when people see my kids on an airplane in an airport, they're like, how did you get them to behave so well? That's why. Because
that makes
they have
sense.
to earn that, right? They have to earn that, right? So that was the number one with my kids. And number two, it was just always making time to travel with them, because I knew what an impact it had on me as a kid. So my kids got to travel everywhere, and they still get to travel. But what changed it up for me for summer was I firmly believe parents having a lot of kids, having kids in general, I firmly believe that parents need a summer vacation. They need at least a month, at the very least 2 weeks to themselves once a year during summertime. Because a lot of times what happens is parents become parents and that's all they do. It's just parents their kids. And then mom and dad don't have a connection and aren't growing with themselves. So for me, I believe that parents should find a way to send their kids to summer camp, send them to grandparents, send them away. So every summer, my wife and I have a month alone where we don't have any kids. And that allows for deep reconnection of ourselves as a relationship, as a couple. But it also allows my kids to go be independent and to go experience life and be away from mom and dad for an extended for more than 30 days. And we have one of the tightest, most sickest family structures and dynamics you've ever seen. We can explain that later on in a conversation how we do it differently because we're a team. My kids love me. My kids miss me, but they're not, oh my God.
Mm-hmm. And they get a chance to bond with their grandparents. And I think, for me, especially in the field that I'm in, I think there's a place when grandma and grandpa get to a place when they are no longer able to have a level of independence, that our responsibility is to still give them memories. And one way to do that is having a caregiver come along on vacation with you. So if mom can't walk up the steps, the caregiver can take her or dad on a different route where there's wheelchair accessibility, and really being able to give them the dignity while still allowing you as the child, in this case, the adult child, to be able to have a lifestyle where, the kids can still see their grandparents but having an extra set of hands to come along on vacation. And the only way you can really do that is to make enough money to be able to afford yourself that type of a lifestyle. Because what I find is that a lot of times what happens is the working professional starts making money, and then maybe they didn't plan properly, and now mom or dad gets sick, and now their life is on hold because they can no longer travel because nobody's helping to take care of their mom or dad. And so having somebody to come in and provide that service, I'm telling you, makes such a big difference. And so, I just really...
That's a huge point. And you know why it's a huge point? Because when I took my mom to Greece, my mom has physical limitations. I wish I would have had a physical therapist or something to that effect with me when I vacationed with her, because my quality of my relationship with her on that vacation would have been like this, and her quality of time on that vacation would have been like this, simply because now that's designated to an area or a person who wants to deal with that, or not to say that doesn't sound mean, but it's capable of dealing with that and is there for that specific reason. And I can only say that just simply because I know, because when I started bringing my nanny along on vacations with us, because we bring our nanny everywhere. We've had a live-in nanny since 2016. And I remember when I first hired that nanny, I remember some people would give me, oh my God, you're a child and you're not spending that time with your kid. And what I realized was that my relationship with all my kids, even my youngest, my children, because I hired my nanny when I had my last boy back in 2016, and he's 8 now, right? The relationship and the quality of time with him was so much higher, and with all my other kids, because I was doing the time spent with my children. It was
the quality time.
Yes. And my nanny has a college degree. I don't. She understands how to do that math and all that stuff way better than the core, Common Core, all that stuff. But when I noticed it really was when I started bringing my nanny on vacation, the quality of time went up. The quality of everything went up. Everything increased so much more. Mom and dad can go to dinner on their own without planning it. It was so much more cleaner and just so much more peaceful. And I got a lot of crap from a lot of people about that when I first hired. But here's the best part, is that I'm not hiring a nanny because, it's taking away from me. If anything, I'm hiring it enhances the time now that I spend with my child. It enhances the time with my spouse. I'm buying actually more time now. I'm actually buying more time. So bringing my nanny with a vacation, I can see how bringing a caretaker, if you have aging parents, that number one unlocks the door for you to be able to take your parents on vacation. But also, number two, it creates an enjoyable environment. Because we've all seen people on vacation with kids and they're miserable, or we've seen people on vacation with older parents and they're miserable. And that goes back down to you being a high value man. We'll see you guys on the next one.
Yep. And all I would say in wrapping up is if you liked what you heard, share it with somebody. And maybe if you disagreed with something I said or disagreed with something that Chris said or vice versa, you agreed. We'd also like to hear from you. One thing that we really want to do as we grow is if you continue to engage with us, we're going to continue to bring content and information. And our number one goal is to bring value to you. And so any way that we can do that, we want to do that. So make sure you like, make sure you comment, make sure you share. And as Chris said, with that, till next time, take care.
Conversation has given you clarity on your next steps. Please share this episode with someone who's walking the same path. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss future episodes. And remember, planning ahead isn't just prudent, it's an act of care. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time on The Family Office.